Did you know the leading cause of catastrophic engine failure costs less than $50 to fix? It also takes under 30 minutes, but your mechanic won't tell you. In this video, I'll share 7 cleaning tricks that can prevent engine failure. They stop warped heads, blown gaskets, and ruined converters. And at the end, I'll reveal one extreme clean that ruins more cars than it saves. Trick number 7, air filter reset. Do you still replace your engine air filter every 30,000 to 45,000 miles? That's a guaranteed way to send your car to an early grave. Sure, that's what your manual says, but read the fine print. Every car has a regular maintenance schedule and a severe service schedule. That figure is for regular maintenance. However, most drivers fall under the severe service schedule, which cuts this time by a third. If you drive in very hot or cold weather, make frequent trips of less than 4 miles, drive in stop-and-go traffic, or idle a lot, it is considered severe. This means you should change the engine air filter every 12,000 to 15,000 miles, or once a year, whichever comes first. When engine air filters get dirty, the engine doesn't get enough oxygen, which affects combustion. You will experience symptoms like poor acceleration, engine misfires, or stalling. If the filter is really clogged, fuel economy will also decrease. While a dirty filter isn't too big of a deal, replacing a filter 30,000 miles too late can cause serious damage. For example, engine misfires damage the oxygen sensor and send unburned fuel to the catalytic converter. Eventually, this will spoil the CAT converter, which can cost over $2,500 to fix. Here's the sad, dumb part. Replacing an air filter is one of the easiest things to do. It's also one of the cheapest, unless you go for an aftermarket filter like K&N. The air filter is housed in a black plastic box in the engine bay. It's easy to open and remove the filter. The tip I use is to always check the filter before every oil change. Simply hold it up to a light. If you can see the light through the filter, it's fine. But if the filter is blocking out the sun, replace it. Some aftermarket filters can be cleaned with a specialized cleaner. They also need to be re-oiled, and that's another crucial step. If you live in an area with a lot of dust, you might need to replace the filter even more often. Still, this $20 fix can save you over $2,000 in damages. What's more, it can also improve the driving experience and help keep your car on the road for much longer. If you love cheap cleaning tricks, you're going to love the next one, but only if you haven't waited too long. Trick number 6, fuel injector cleanout. Did you know that the nozzle of a fuel injector is roughly the same diameter as human hair? That incredibly small opening delivers the precise amount of fuel needed to power your comparatively large car. Unfortunately, this small hole is also very easy to clog. Fuel injectors are built to last at least 100,000 miles, but they can get clogged in as little as 10,000 miles. Clogged injectors create lean conditions, which can cause rough idling, poor gas mileage, misfires, and failed emissions tests. In some cases, it can also cause detonation. That small knocking sound could damage the piston or cylinder heads and lead to catastrophic engine failure. This can cost anything from $2,000 to $8,000 to fix. So if your car is a decade old, it might be cheaper to buy a new one. Fortunately, there is an easy solution. The easiest way to clean fuel injectors is by using a fuel injector cleaner. This is an additive that you pour into the fuel tank, and it cleans the fuel system, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Watch this video to know which cleaners to use and which ones to avoid. Never use these 8 fuel injector cleaners and 5 that work. If you have ignored the fuel injectors for too long, or you bought a high-mileage car, you might have to go with professional cleaning. This process is more thorough, and it can cost up to $1,000. Even though a deep clean is recommended every 50,000 miles, most people never do it. The best way to keep your fuel injectors clean is to use top-tier gas. It is proven to reduce carbon deposits without damaging your engine, like many fuel additives. It also only costs a few cents more per gallon than regular gas, and every car maker recommends it. Trick number 5. $10 mass airflow sensor fix. Problems with the mass airflow sensor are one of the most common check engine light error codes. Unfortunately, the average driver ignores the check engine light for 4 months. While symptoms of a faulty MAF start off mild, they can turn violent very quickly. The MAF is responsible for measuring how much air is flowing into the combustion chamber, so that the ECU can provide enough fuel to match it. When MAF readings are wrong, you'll end up with a rich or lean condition. This can cause rough idling, poor acceleration, and poor fuel economy. One of the killer symptoms of a failing MAF sensor is stalling when you try to accelerate. Engine surges are another major risk, and both of these can lead to nasty accidents. And do you know what can easily prevent these tragedies? 15 minutes of your time and a cleaner that costs less than $10. Don't be in a hurry to replace a faulty MAF sensor. Save the $500 and try cleaning it first. Once you locate the sensor, unplug it and carefully remove it. Next, spray 10 to 15 shots of AMAF cleaner on the hot wire. You can only use a cleaner made specifically for MAF sensors. If the hot wire looks dull or you can see debris on it, spray it a little bit more. You will then leave the MAF sensor on a clean cloth for it to air dry. This is a very sensitive component, so don't try to dab it or use a hair dryer. After about 15 minutes, it should be dry and ready for reinstallation. Repeat this process every 10,000 to 15,000 miles, or every time you replace the air filter. Trick number 4, PCV valve pressure release. Less than 50% of drivers know that a PCV valve exists, and even fewer know what it does. The positive crankcase ventilation valve releases pressure from the engine's crankcase. It is part of the PCV system, or the crankcase ventilation system. Its job is to remove unwanted gases from the crankcase. When the PCV valve gets clogged, pressure builds up that can blow out engine seals and gaskets. This can cause major oil leaks, which then cause overheating, premature engine wear, and even engine failure. Other symptoms of a clogged PCV valve include high oil consumption, rough idling, and whistling sounds. If you don't notice the signs early, you could end up with a blown head gasket. That's a $3,000 repair that could have been prevented by replacing the valve for just $80. However, you can be proactive and save even more money. Inspect the PCV valve every 20,000 miles. It's located on the valve cover or near the intake manifold. When you rattle a PCV valve, you should be able to hear a ball moving inside. Of course, some valves still make noise when clogged. A foolproof test is to attach a balloon to the intake side of the valve and blow air through the valve cover side. If the balloon remains inflated, the valve is holding pressure, and it's fine. If not, get a can of carburetor cleaner, engine cleaner, or brake cleaner. Spray a generous portion in both openings. Next, place the PCV valve in a glass container and soak it in carb cleaner. Do this for 5 minutes to an hour, depending on how gunked up it looks. Once it looks sparkly and the ball is rattling easily, let the PCV valve air dry completely. You don't want any cleaner residue on it before you reattach it. Put everything back in place and you're all set. You can repeat this process every 20,000 miles. PCV valves can last forever. You only need to replace it if it stops functioning. If the valve is running fine, you might not need to clean it for 50,000 miles. But when you do, bring a few extra tools for the next thing. Trick number 3, EGR valve cleanup. If you've ever considered boosting the performance of your car, then you would have heard about the EGR delete. The exhaust gas recirculation valve is designed to reduce emissions by recirculating exhaust gas back into the engine. Some people believe that deleting the EGR valve can boost fuel economy and engine performance. Deleting the EGR will lower carbon buildup, which can improve combustion. However, this process is very bad for your engine. When the EGR is stuck open, closed, or deleted, it leads to poor engine performance and engine knocking, which can severely damage pistons over time. Of course, an EGR delete is also illegal and comes with a fine of up to $5,000. Add that to the cost of new pistons, and you're looking at financial ruin. And by the way, some studies have shown that EGR delete can increase fuel consumption by up to 15%. So, what should you do instead? If your EGR is acting up, you can clean it yourself for under $40 or pay 10 times more to get it professionally cleaned. You only need to replace it if it's damaged. Cleaning the EGR valve every 30,000 miles can extend its lifespan by over 100,000 miles. All you need is EGR cleaning spray or carburetor cleaner and a new EGR valve gasket. The EGR valve is located on the intake or exhaust manifold. When you take it off, turn it upside down and spray a generous amount of EGR cleaner. Let it soak for about 2 hours. If your car is older and you've never done this before, you might want to leave it overnight. Rinse it out with clean solvent and dry it with compressed air. Install the new gasket and put the EGR back in place. It is also possible to clean the EGR valve without removing it by using a special cleaning kit. Trick number 2, throttle body deep clean. Of all the engine components that need cleaning, this is arguably the most important. While clogged filters, injectors, and valves can affect the engine, a clogged throttle body puts your life at risk. When you step on the gas, the throttle body opens up for air to fill the combustion chamber. As that air moves in, the ECU adjusts the quantity of fuel passing through the injectors to maintain the right air-fuel ratio for combustion. Over time, carbon and grime build up on the throttle body valve, causing it to stick. Early signs of a dirty throttle body include rough idling, poor acceleration, and stalling. If the valve sticks shut while you're about to merge onto the highway, your engine will stall, and that could cause a nasty collision. That is why you need to keep the throttle body clean at all times. If you experience any of the signs in the video, 11 symptoms of a bad throttle body, inspect and clean the throttle body immediately. Otherwise, you can clean it every 30,000 miles. You'll need throttle body cleaning spray, a cleaning brush, general purpose oil, clean rags, cotton swabs, and safety equipment. The throttle body is located between the air cleaner and the intake manifold. Switch off the engine, disconnect the battery, and detach all hoses and ducts. Spray the cleaner onto the butterfly valve and scrub gently. You'll need to clean both sides of the valve. If your vehicle uses a drive-by-wire throttle body, get a friend to step on the gas to keep it open while you clean. Be careful to wipe off any excess cleaner residue on the throttle body and other engine components. Trick number 1, cooling system flushout. Did you know that 50% of catastrophic engine failures are caused by the cooling system? All it takes is a little neglect, and you'll be up to your eyeballs in bills. Despite what many people believe, coolant does have a shelf life. For some cars, it is as little as 30,000 miles, but it can be as high as 150,000 miles. As coolant breaks down, it becomes acidic. This leads to rust and sediment buildup, which can clog the radiator and engine block. This can lead to overheating, which can cause warped cylinder heads and blown head gaskets. That will cost at least $1,500, but it can be as high as $4,000. That is why you need to inspect your coolant every month. Check the level, the color, and the smell. If it smells like maple syrup or candy, you either have a leak or a clog. Obviously, discolored coolant isn't good, even if the car still runs fine. If you notice any of these signs or your car has gone 30,000 miles, it's time for a coolant flush. You can do this at home using distilled water, antifreeze, and coolant flush chemical. Alternatively, get it done by a professional for under $150. If that seems like a lot, just think of how much it would cost to replace cylinder heads if you mess up the DIY. Nothing saves an engine like a good flush, whether it's coolant or transmission. However, there is one other flush that I don't recommend. As promised, here is a bonus tip on a particular type of cleaning that you should avoid at all costs. But before I reveal this flush of death, take a second to hit subscribe, like, and share. That way, you'll never miss the simple fixes that save thousands in repairs. The dangers of an engine oil flush. Here is one of the most hotly debated car maintenance topics. The majority of honest mechanics rarely recommend engine oil flushes, but those eager to put an extra $50 in their pocket always recommend it. Here is why listening to them is a big mistake. Engine oil flush is a cleaner designed to remove engine sludge. Fortunately, this isn't a common problem with modern cars that use synthetic oil. However, if a car has been neglected for years and the oil in the engine has oxidized, it will cause sludge. But even when a car has sludge, you have to be careful with a flush. That's because the chemicals in oil flushes are aggressive, and they can damage rubber seals and gaskets. You could then end up with high oil consumption, overheating, and engine failure. Besides that, an oil flush could push some of that sludge into smaller holes like the VVT solenoid. My rule is this: only do a flush on a used car with less than 150,000 miles. If an older car has sludge, drain, and replace the oil a few times, the sludge will gradually reduce without breaking something important. So there you have it, 7 cleaning tips that can save your engine and 1 that can go either way. Follow these tips and you'll be halfway towards getting your car to reach 500,000 miles. For the rest, watch this 13 habits to make your car last over 500,000 miles without repairs.